Hey there everybody, I'm Stone from Mountaintop Kitchen, and today I'm sharing the 2 cupcakes we worked hardest to get just right. I tested all the top vanilla and chocolate recipes out there, tweaked the crumb, balanced the sweetness, and whipped up frostings that are smooth, stable, and not overly sweet. These are truly celebration cupcakes that deliver every time. Let's dive in. Okay, so we're going to continue with making our celebration, birthday, holiday, baby shower, wedding, get-together cupcakes, and we're making our chocolate ones this time. They're very decadent and they are delicious. You want to start by setting your oven to 350 Fahrenheit or about 175 to 176 Celsius. That's conventional oven. If you're using a convection oven, you want to put that down a little bit, about 25 degrees Fahrenheit and about 15 degrees Celsius. Okay, so we got our ovens turned on, we're preheating them, and we need to prepare our pans. Now we're going to bake ours in 2 sets of 6. So we already have our tiny little cute cupcake tin, muffin tin, aligned with our festive red, kind of reddish orange cupcake liners, and we're going to get to working on the batter. So we're going to do that right now. So we're going to start by whisking together our dry ingredients, but we're going to sift them first. So we're going to start with some all-purpose flour, and we have about 100 grams or 3/4 a cup of flour. And then we also have some natural processed cocoa powder, about 30 grams or 1/3 cup. Now you need to use the natural process, not the Dutch processed as you see in some recipes, because this is acidic and it will react with the baking soda. And the other kind, the Dutch processed cocoa powder, is alkaline. It will not react with the baking soda. So let's go ahead and get this 30 grams or 1/3 cup of naturally processed cocoa powder into our sieve. Make sure we get all of it out. And we have our salt, about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of our baking soda. So let's get that into our sieve as well. Make sure it all comes out. And we're just going to sift those into a big bowl. Now, some of your cocoa powder will kind of lump up, and all you have to do is just put your hand in there and work it on through. Okay, so we have our dry ingredients in a nice big bowl. I'm just going to whisk it to make sure that everything's integrated uniformly. These will be so delicious. These are a nice accompaniment to your vanilla celebration cupcakes. So, okay, now that we have that ready, we're going to go ahead and get our wet ingredients together. So, different bowl, put this to the side. We're going to start with our sugars. So here are our sugars. We have about 100 grams or 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, and about 60 grams or 1/3 cup of brown sugar. So let's just plop that in. Make sure it all gets out of your bowls. Okay, we have 2 eggs. We're going to go ahead and put those in. The nice thing about working with the chocolate cupcakes is you can throw most of this together all rather quickly without having to add things in one at a time. Okay, we have our oil, which is about 75 grams or 1/3 cup. A nice neutral oil. We're using canola oil in this case. And we have some vanilla. We have about, 1 teaspoon here of vanilla. So we're going to dump that in as well. Okay. And then we're going to just mix all this up. Break up our eggs. Just whisk, 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 whisk. It'll only take a minute. Make sure all that sugar comes up off the bottom, gets mixed in with your eggs. And I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, so we're going to set this back over here. We're going to bring our dry ingredients back over. And now we're going to add our wet to our dry. Okay. Okay. And just give that a good mix. I find it a little easier to mix this in before putting the buttermilk in because the cocoa powder doesn't really mix well with liquids. You really have to work at it. So I like to keep the liquids to a minimum. And once I get most of that worked in, then I'll pour in my buttermilk. So there we go. And we have about 120 grams or half a cup of buttermilk. Now let's just whisk that in. Get it nice and uniform. We always want our batters to be uniform. We don't want to mix vigorously too much because we don't want to develop the gluten in our batter. We just need to get it together. I'm going to go ahead and heat up my coffee because we want to put in hot coffee. I have about 60 grams of espresso coffee here, pretty strong. That's about 1/4 of a cup. And we want to heat this up because when we put it in, it helps, one, to kind of even out the batter, but also it helps that cocoa powder to bloom. So let me pop this in the microwave and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back and our coffee is nice and steamy hot. So we're going to just plop that into the batter, put that aside, and just give it a good mix. You want that cocoa powder to really come into contact with the hot coffee, and it helps it to bloom. It brings that rich flavor out. Now, don't worry about the coffee making your chocolate cupcakes taste like coffee. They won't. It just really helps to pop that chocolate flavor. Okay, we have our batter ready, so the next thing is to get it into our tins. So let's do that. Okay, so I transferred my chocolate cupcake batter into some pourable containers, these measuring cups. And I like to weigh things, but you don't have to do that. And I do know that each cupcake should be about 50 grams of batter. So I have my little nifty cupcake tin on the scale. I've zeroed it out and I'm going to try to get about 50. You can just eyeball it. You want to make sure your batter will be enough for 12 cupcakes. So, but I'm going to be picky so that my cupcakes all come out the same. So I'm just going to get 50 grams into each cupcake liner. So that'll be a little bit more than half full, about 2/3 full. And I'm right at 50 right now. So I'm going to go ahead and finish filling the rest of these and be right back with you. I don't want to bore you. I'm going to speed it up. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, there we go. We have them filled. Now let's go ahead and pop these into our oven. We're going to bake these for about 17 to 19 minutes. Now you do want to keep an eye on them. When you stick a toothpick in that comes out with a few little crumbs in it, that's okay. If it's really wet, you need to pop it back in for a minute or two. Now, if you're using a convection oven like I am, you do want to make sure you check them a little bit earlier because with the fan-assisted oven, the heat is distributed more evenly and they bake a little bit faster. Okay, so let's get these out of the oven and we'll be right back. Okay, our chocolate cupcakes are out of the oven. We're going to let them cool in the tin for about 5 to 10 minutes before we take them out and let them cool completely. While they're cooling completely, we're going to go ahead and get started on making the frosting. And this is an awesome frosting. It's so decadent and so chocolate. You don't need a lot on top of a cupcake to make it good. In fact, if you have a lot of frosting, that ratio is They look nice, they look festive. It's really too much, and people are just going to throw it away and only eat a little bit of the frosting. So we've come up with a formula for how much frosting should be on each cupcake so that you have that perfect balance for any get-together. We'll be right back as soon as these are cooled. Okay, let's make our decadent chocolate frosting. This frosting you're going to love. It's going to top our chocolate cupcakes, and it's smooth, creamy, and not too sweet. You are going to love it. It pipes beautifully. So in our bowl, we have 170 grams of unsalted room temperature butter. That's about 3/4 cup. So we're just going to beat this for about 3 minutes to get it nice and white and fluffy. So we'll be back in 3 minutes. Okay, our butter is ready. It looks much lighter in color, almost white, very fluffy looking, very creamy. This is exactly how you want it to look. There you go. That is awesome. Okay. So we're just going to scrape down the bowl a little bit here. Get all the butter off the sides of the bowl. And now I'm going to alternate putting in the sifted powdered sugar and the sifted natural processed cocoa. So I'm going to put half and half. I'm going to cover it with a tea towel. So let's put in about half because we don't want this flying everywhere. And I'm going to put about half of the cocoa in as well. Okay. Put that down, lock it, grab a tea towel because we don't want our powdered sugar flying everywhere. And I'm just going to pulse. Okay, get that going a little bit. Okay, now I can put in the rest of the powdered sugar. We have about 210 grams of powdered sugar, or about 1 3/4 cups, and 40 grams total, or about 1/2 cup, of this natural processed cocoa powder. Okay, so again, let's cover with the tea towel. We don't want it flying everywhere. Lock it and pulse. Just until we get it incorporated a little bit so it's not flying out all over the place. Okay, it's looking kind of stiff right now. I have 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. You could use milk, but we're using heavy cream here. So let's get that out. I have a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to get that in. I have a pinch of salt. Let's get that in there. And I have some cooled down 55 grams of chocolate. So let's turn this off. This is going to make it so decadent, this chocolate that we're adding in right now. So just get that in. Make sure that your chocolate, once you melt it, that it's cooled down, because you don't want it to melt the frosting. Okay, so that's back in. It's going slow. Let's give it a scrape down. We have a lot of powdered cocoa on the sides of our bowl. We don't want that showing up in our final frosting. So we need to scrape down. Get down to the bottom of the bowl also. See if there's a thing hanging around down there. And clean off our spatula and our finger. And keep going. And you're going to want to do this for about 2 or 3 more minutes until you have a nice consistency. Now, if you find that your frosting is too thick, just add a little bit more cream or milk. And if you find it too thin, just add a little bit more sugar, powdered sugar, that is. Okay, let's take a look at this. This is looking really yummy. Look at this. This is awesome. I'm going to taste it. That is so good. So creamy and chocolatey, fudgy. It's very stable, very pipeable. Okay, we're going to go grab our cupcakes that have been cooling and we're going to frost them. So we'll be right back in a minute to do that. Okay, so our celebration chocolate cupcakes are completely cooled down now, and we're going to go ahead and frost them with this frosting that we just made. So what I like to do is to take a piping bag and put the nozzle on the end of it. This is a 1M star nozzle, and I'm just going to put it into this container. It just makes it easier to fill up. Kind of pull the sleeve over like this. Take a spatula and put the creamy chocolate fudgy frosting just right inside there. Okay, just shove it down in. We're going to get all of this in here because we want to frost all of these cupcakes today. And right down in there. Okay, got a little bit more. All right. And just kind of scrape it on the side there to get all the frosting off. Pull this up. Kind of shuffle the frosting down. Going to get a little bit out at the beginning here. Okay, so you want to twist this other end because you don't want anything coming out of that end. And let's just go ahead and start frosting these. I'm just going to do a nice little swirl. Something like this. We don't want to put too much frosting on these because we want to have a nice ratio of cake to frosting. Okay. And I don't know about you, but I don't like cupcakes that are heavy, heavy, heavy on the frosting. These are looking pretty good. There you go. All right, let's just keep frosting these. We don't have to do all of them right now, but let's get a few more done. I'm starting in the center and just swirling around, coming back into the middle and then up to the top and pulling away. Same thing, just swirl around, come back into the center, into the middle, pull away. All around, pull into the center, pull away. Around, pull around into the center and pull away. Okay, we're just going to do that many right now. And because I don't want to bore you. And guess what? I have some of these great sprinkles that we're going to sprinkle on because these are, after all, celebration cupcakes. So let's just get, oh, it's really nice. The colors on that chocolate, they really pop. They really pop. There we go. I just love these sprinkles. These are sort of a pastel-y, bunch of different pastel colors, or as I say in England, pastel. So yeah, let's just get these on here. Yeah, these are looking good. Okay, celebration cupcakes. Take a look at these. Wow, that is fantastic. Celebration cupcake chocolate. Let's go ahead and try one of these. I cannot wait to try one. Okay, this is going to be messy, but I don't care. The crumb is so good, moist, chocolatey. These are excellent. The frosting isn't too overly sweet, and we didn't put too much on, so it's a nice balance of frosting to cake. And these are lovely. Hey, if you haven't subscribed already, how about hitting that button right down there? And if you like this recipe, you know what? How about checking out the one right up here? You might like it too. And thank you so much for joining us today at Mountaintop Kitchen. We really appreciate you being here. Bye. I'm going to keep eating. See ya. Oops.